नमस्कार दोस्तों. Hindi, Hindi language. Should everyone learn? Should it be imposed? Can making everyone learn Hindi have a bigger unifying nature to it? Will India become more united if everyone speaks Hindi? These are the questions I just wanted to share with you. अगर आप गूगल में जाके सर्च करो हिंदी इम्पोजिशन न्यूज़ बहुत मिलेंगे. Let's take the first question. But before that, I'm from Kerala. मैं कभी I've not been to any northern states, any Hindi speaking states. लेकिन मैं हिंदी बोल लेता हूँ. If you put me in a place where it is Hindi speaking people, मैं जी सकता हूँ. I'll be able to communicate. उसका ये मतलब नहीं है कि my accent, obviously people are going to figure out that this is not my first language. That is because I have not had the opportunity to have to talk in Hindi except for with friends or something like that. Watching a Hindi movie, I don't need subtitles. So इतना है मेरी हिंदी का knowledge. But at the same time, I also learned Hindi for 10 years in school. Not 10 years, I learned for 12 years. So 10वीं के बाद we have the 11th and 12th, which is उस टाइम पे pre-degree था. So I had a choice to either take Malayalam, which is my mother tongue, or Hindi, or English. Second language English ले सकते हैं, नहीं तो French, German, ऐसे कुछ भी. And I chose Hindi. Because for me, Hindi was much more easier than other languages. And Malayalam, since I did not study all my life in Kerala, I was in Dubai, so maybe that's also a reason that I was able to pick up Hindi. But so Malayalam tend to be more difficult for me to get marks and everything. So at that time, learning a language is always about marks. कौन सा second language लेना है and which will get you more marks in your 11th and 12th, that will help you secure a college admission. That was the main thing. It had nothing to do with a language or anything. It was something, everything has to do with exams and marks. तो मैंने 12 साल मैंने हिंदी पढ़ा है. But I started speaking Hindi not during that time. College पहुंचा, and that was in Calicut itself, and there was a lot of people from Hindi speaking places. And I tried to speak Hindi with them, and that is where I probably picked up in some way or the other to communicate with people. But आज भी I'm not very confident to speak in Hindi. तो पहली question, and I'm making myself vulnerable when I speak Hindi and start a channel and everything. उसके पीछे भी एक कहानी है, I'll come to that. So the first question is that, should everyone learn Hindi? I think it is good to learn Hindi. It's good to learn any language, but in India, along with English, learning Hindi is definitely good. But it should not be at the expense of not learning your mother tongue. Because mother tongue is where we understand culture, we understand this world, we understand relationships, we understand poetry. There's so many things as we grow up, we connect with our parents, we connect with our relatives, we connect with the place we live. That has to do with mother tongue. And I think it's very important. But I am guilty that living in America, I did not teach the mother tongue to my kids. It was more of convenience and a bit of laziness. I just let it go. Looking back, I feel that I should have taught my son Malayalam. But anyway, some things you make wrong decisions, you make wrong turns. Some wrong turns you cannot retrace back. This is one such thing. But I personally believe that no one should get unhappy if someone is asked to learn a language. Now the question comes on imposition. Should a language be imposed on a group of people who don't know that language? Like people in the Northeast or Kerala or Tamil Nadu or any place. I think sometimes I feel this language debate is more political than about language. People on both sides, get so emotional about it. I think we should leave politics aside and look at what an individual gains by learning a language. Yes, if you have three languages to learn, that is English, Hindi, and Malayalam, it becomes too much of a burden on kids. Maybe not everyone, but for some kids, it becomes too much of a burden. But we also understand that when they are very small, when we have very small kids, you can learn 2 or 3 languages very easily. But as we get older, it becomes more and more difficult for us to learn a new language. But even then, we have seen that when the necessity comes, we learn a language. There are people Kerala से और तमिलनाडु से जिन लोगों को हिंदी बोलनी नहीं आती, लेकिन जाके they go for work in some place जहाँ पे medium of communication is हिंदी. वो लोग पढ़ते हैं. They learn. They start speaking fluently. There are people who go, मेरे कितने दोस्त थे जो गुजरात से हैं लेकिन केरला में रहते हैं, and they speak Malayalam just like I speak. So sometimes it is so much important for us to learn a language in order to survive and live. So anyone will learn the languages. So always it is about necessity. Is there a unifying force when everyone speaks Hindi? I don't think so. I don't think what connects us or unifies us as Indians is language. That's our diversity. But within that diversity, we connect ourselves in something different. It's not language. So when we try to impose the language on people, there is always going to be resistance. Forget about language. Anything you try to impose, people will resist. Why is that needed? In my opinion, there shouldn't be any imposition. But at the same time, those states that are resisting Hindi should promote Hindi as an option, more as an opportunity for people who can learn a new language. Now, this whole Hindi discussion has happened since independence. At that time, it was not Hindi. It was a mix of Hindi and Urdu or Hindustani. And there was definitely discussions or definitely thought that over a period of time, Hindustani will be the more prevalent language than English. But then what happens during the independence time, after so many years, things change. Globally also things change. People start moving. Now today, if you ask me, should I learn Hindi or should I learn English? I would say English is better. Not because English is a better language, but because your opportunities increase if you learn English. So I think there's a choice and people should be able to exercise that choice. Mother tongue makes you understand about life, relationships and everything, where you belong and your roots and all those things. English helps you communicate on a global scale. A lot of people, see, if I had not known Hindi, nothing would have happened in my life. But if I had not known English, a lot of opportunities would have slipped. Because I never had to work in a place where only Hindi was the medium or language. So I think given the option, if only 2 languages should be taught, it should be mother tongue and English. But I think we should encourage kids, young students, children to learn more than 2 languages. And then the third language definitely should be Hindi. But when you put politics into it, when people start imposing, people start resisting, then who is at loss? Children are at loss. The common man is at loss. Who gains if we resist and not learn a language? The person who resists loses. So I think it is in the best interests of everyone in India that we don't impose the language, but at the same time promote the language even in the states where their language is not that prevalent. Now, coming to the story of why I started this channel. It has to do with Hindi. So I make videos in Malayalam and English. तो मेरे एक मलयालम वीडियो के नीचे आके एक बंदे ने एक कमेंट डाला, Why you are speaking in Malayalam? Why don't you speak in the राष्ट्रभाषा हिंदी? तो मैंने बोला राष्ट्रभाषा तो है नहीं इंडिया के लिए. देयर आर 2 ऑफिशियल लैंग्वेजेस, एक तो हिंदी है, एक तो अंग्रेजी है. Then I said, चलो मैं केरला से हूं, तुम्हें लगता है कि मुझे हिंदी मालूम नहीं है, तो मैं एक चैनल शुरू करता हूं. उस चैनल में I'll call it Agile Indian, और मैं हिंदी में वीडियोस बनाऊंगा. तो शुरू मैंने पूरा हिंदी में बात करने की कोशिश की. And I was able to do it. लेकिन थोड़ी देर बाद मुझे बहुत it's too much difficulty for me to, कभी कभी हिंदी बात करते एक शब्द जो है मुझे I can't get that word. Because I was making videos and I was saying that I won't use one English shabd and I'll all use Hindi words. But then I found it too tiring. तो मैंने सोचा मैं इंग्लिश हिंदी मिक्स करके वीडियोस बनाऊंगा. I think we make so much issues about things that we can actually agree and live. And that's a very sad state. Now again, the other problem is that when you impose and when you try to say that everyone should learn Hindi and Hindi imposition, then you also have a lot of people whom I would term as Bhasha Nazi or language Nazis. And I'll tell you what. And this is not just in Hindi. You have them in English language. You have them in Malayalam speaking people. For example, I am from Calicut, Kozhikode. So we have a very different slang of Malayalam. Apparently, the actors who used that slang in Malayalam movies used to be comedians, and they used to play characters who were not that educated. So there is somewhere, without saying, a lot of people had a thought that the slang that we use in Kozhikode is not the one that is more refined kind of Malayalam. So when I started my Malayalam channel and I started speaking in my Kozhikode accent, a lot of people said, why do you speak like that? Why can't you speak in a proper educated manner? They think that the Malayalam slang that I use is that of an uneducated person. No, even the educated people in Kozhikode speak the way I speak Malayalam. And this is not something, this is not a planned kind of demeaning an accent or anything. But this is how people start perceiving. So within Malayalam, there are people who think this is Shuddh Malayalam and this is not Shuddh Malayalam. This is educated, literate, refined Malayalam, and this is the accent used by people who are uneducated and illiterate. And there's a problem with that. Similarly, when English. So I've been in the US for about 25 years. I left India in 98, 99. Throughout my life, I've studied in English medium schools, and after that I worked also in environments where main mode of communication, language of communication was English. But even now I don't have an accent which is an American accent. Unless I try to do that kind of an accent, वो भी ठीक से नहीं होगा. क्योंकि inside I'm a Malayali, I'm an Indian. English is not my first language, though I have studied for so long, I've spoken for so long. Maybe if I try, I could get the American accent. Maybe if I live in UK and I try to get the UK accent. There are a lot of people in India who speak the different dialects, different types of English that is used across America so well, they've never stepped out of their own state in India. So these are all acquired skills. So when I started making my English videos, there were the people who complained about my English accent were people from Kerala. So no one over the past 30 years, when I worked across the world, no one has ever said, Vinod, your accent is a thick accent, you're having a Malayali accent, you're having a Indian accent. कोई किसी ने बोला नहीं है. लेकिन पहली बार जब मैंने वीडियो बनाया तो केरला से कुछ बंदे आके मेरे से बोला तेरा इंग्लिश ठीक नहीं है, तो इतने साल तू अमेरिका में रह के तू अंग्रेजी ठीक से नहीं बोल पाता. Because he thinks that everyone who is in America or everyone is in UK should speak like Shashi Tharoor or like anyone who who is born and brought up in that country. No, not necessary. Language is for communication. मैं जो आपसे बोल रहा हूं वो आपको समझ में आते हैं कि नहीं? I can understand language very well, but I can have totally no clarity in what I say, and you might not understand. So we forget why languages exist. We forget what is the importance of languages in our life. And even if you look Hindi, is there a Shuddh Hindi? Because Hindi has so many variations, right? You go to different parts of India, they're going to speak Hindi in a different way. How much ever you teach, I as a Malayali would probably speak Hindi, I say with an accent which is more related to Malayalam, because my tongue, the words that come out of my mouth, they all are very Malayalam centric. अगर एक जो अमेरिका से यूके से who is born and brought up over here, एक बंदे को if you teach Hindi, there's always going to be that accent which is foreign, right? तो हिंदी भी आप देखो, you should never create a situation where people start looking at other people at a level up and down based on linguistics, based on the way pronunciation happens, the way accents are there. Because if you take Hindi, just like I was talking about Malayalam, right? Kozhikode Malayalam that I speak, there are people in Kerala who think that that's not the educated form of Malayalam. But I know, I'm educated. A lot of people that I know are educated. There is so much there in that accent, in that language that is so much close to my heart and so much close to a lot of people. Similarly, if you take Hindi, there are a lot of people in this world who use Hindi dialectics that some people might say that, uska Hindi hai, lekin wo educated wala Hindi nahi hai. So why are we creating this kind of differentiation when language is something that everyone should be happy to learn a new one? For example, मैं जब हिंदी में बात करता हूँ तो मुझे I always keep saying मैं केरला से हूँ इसलिए मेरा हिंदी थोड़ा कमज़ोर है. And I keep saying that, and I have not had anyone make fun of that. अगर मैं जर्मनी जाऊँ and if I know German और मैं German बोलने की कोशिश करूँ तो a German person is not going to make fun of me. They will feel happy that someone is putting the effort to learn. तो मैंने ये चैनल शुरू किया because one person made fun of my video in Malayalam and asking me. लेकिन मैंने इसलिए भी ये चैनल शुरू किया इसलिए कि I like Hindi as a language. मैं कविता सुनता हूँ, गाने सुनते हैं, पिक्चर देखता हूँ, लोगों से बात करने की कोशिश करता हूँ. And I wanted to say that I want people to accept that someone who loves the language can learn it, whether there's imposition or not, and at the same time, you can also put yourself as vulnerable and talk in the language that you want to learn. There is no other way to learn a language than speaking. And you can only speak and learn a language in a place where you will not be made fun of. You should be psychologically safe to speak. And Angrezi jab Kerala mein, and I am a Malayali and I've seen this firsthand. I found that girls tend to speak better English than boys. And I was thinking, why? Kyun? Why is it that Malayali girls speak better English than Malayali boys? Obviously, there is a ability that girls have with learning languages and having a better command of languages, unlike boys. But there's another problem which is more social and which is something that we can really correct if we want. That is, when girls speak English, they don't make fun of each other. But when Malayali boys try to speak English, they make fun of each other. And I've seen that a lot. Just like जब मैंने इंग्लिश में एक वीडियो बनाया और केरला से किसी ने आके they made fun of my English. There are so many people around us who don't speak a language just because they think they will be made fun of. And that is a bigger problem. इसीलिए मैं एक चैनल हिंदी में मैंने बात करना शुरू किया, क्योंकि जिन लोगों को हिंदी मालूम नहीं है, जिन लोगों को अंग्रेजी मालूम नहीं है, दे शुड नॉट फील अशेम्ड, दे शुड जस्ट स्टार्ट लर्निंग. मैं आपको अगले हफ्ते या फिर दूसरे एपिसोड में आपसे मिलूंगा. इफ यू हैव नॉट सब्सक्राइब टू द चैनल, प्लीज टू सब्सक्राइब. मैंने एक चैनल इसलिए शुरू किया क्योंकि मैं करीब 25 साल से भारत से बाहर एज अ living in different countries. And there's so many thoughts that come to you about India, about what's happening in India. तो मैंने सोचा ये चैनल द्वारा मैं आपसे वो बात करूंगा. And anyone who comes, because everything I say might not be something that people would like, but if you can be courteous in your comments, I really appreciate that, because people who are not courteous, you can definitely block them. So, I wish you all the best. I'll see you all again. Take care. धन्यवाद.